I turned special now, huh?
Can you hear me?
People
All
tell
right.
me I'm special all the time.
All
I'm
right.
not sure if it's
Nice.
good though.
No. I heard you. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Yeah, I had to just the refresher. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I'll at least just go back to at least what I said first because I personally just will differ in
Well,
terms of
as
losing and
always,
winning. Miami is
Does that
definitely
make
my
me?
good
favorite. I
afternoon,
just
Does
good
think,
that
morning,
make
good
especially
me
night,
you just go
expat
back
or
depending
to
on when
like
you're
China?
listening to
what they
this.
did
This
in the
is the Prak
bubble. Granted,
Cast.
bubble
I'm
basketball is
Prakash,
different,
and joining me
and
here
they've made some
today,
adjustments. Like
I have
like Roti had
Rabindra.
mentioned,
Rabindra been joining me
Oladipo.
with all
Like
these
some of these
NBA
guys, like this. I personally
preview,
just think their
NBA
roster
round
is
preview. So
stacked.
how you doing, Rabindra?
So they have, if you ask me, matchup wise, when you really look at it,
No,
purely on the defensive end too. Miami's about
Sometimes.
defense too. So I'll just I
all right,
personally
no
just leave it
problem.
at that.
Always a pleasure to
And
have you
especially what
on.
they
And now
do with
joining
Pat,
us, we have
right?
a third
Just
member,
the whole
Hayden. What's
system,
going on,
everything
Hayden?
that they do. I don't know if you like
What's up,
look
guys?
deeply, but
Thanks for having me back,
they
bro.
really really
No
have like a
problem.
deep
Always a pleasure
regimen
to have you
Mm.
for
guys
their
on. So
players. So yeah, culture
let's
and all
jump
that.
right
Yeah.
into it.
So
Talking
I'll
NBA
as much as
playoffs
I
and
wouldn't mind
for the depending when you're
even
listening to
potentially
this,
seeing
the
Tatum and Luca in the
Eastern Conference
finals.
and Western Conference finals are
But
about to
say
start.
Miami definitely at least
So we're
trumps
gonna
Boston
have in
on
the
this end
Eastern Conference, which
too.
starts on
You know.
Tuesday, we're gonna have
6 I said,
Miami
right? 6. So 6, yeah.
and
It's definitely
Boston.
6.
I must say correctly picked by both myself and Rabindra in the last one, if you were listening. But we'll pat ourselves on the back later. And then in the Western Conference, you've got Dallas and Golden State, which kind of a little shocking. So why don't we start with that one actually, with the West, and just talk about that game for a minute. That game 7 between Phoenix and Dallas.
They
I think
trapped them at
shocked
every
is the right
chance they
word.
could.
I mean, I'm not really shocked that Dallas won the game. I thought it could have went either way. I was expecting Phoenix to win the series, but that blowout in game 7, oh my lord. Like I've never seen in my life a team get blown out that badly in a game, especially a team that's so talented with guys. It's like I think the stat that was shown was
Just because you're trying doesn't mean you can't get blamed.
the stat that was shown was that Luka
Dude,
Doncic had 27 points at the half, and
so
Phoenix
then you
only had
deserve the
27
blame.
points at the half.
Yes.
So that was
Listen,
ridiculous. So let's go with the newbie, the new one to this
yeah, but
NBA playoff chat.
regardless,
Hayden, what were your thoughts on that,
he's been
Hayden?
the leader of this team for the most part
Definitely
on the
surprising.
court.
I think, Dallas had some momentum going. Everyone knew Dallas could win that game, but we're talking about a team that won 64 games here, defending Western Conference champions. I don't think anyone expected them to get like manhandled the way they did. Because at one point it was close to a 50-point lead. 30 is crazy to say. They made it look better than it was.
Well,
They had
defense
stars,
deserves all the
man.
credit, and
Devin
that
Booker
goes
was
for
0
every
4 in
series. I
the
mean, look
first
at
half.
Miami,
Chris
look at
Paul
what
was 0
Miami's doing,
for.
look at what Boston's doing.
Aiton had
As much as
one
Golden State makes
field goal, I
threes,
think, one
their
dunk
defense is what
in
really
the second
drives them as
quarter. That
well.
was it for the
And
first
that's what
half.
Dallas is now starting
Kind
to do.
of
They've never
unheard
really
of.
done that
And
before.
I
And they've
also
always
found
been
out
a
that
frankly
I guess
weak
Aiton
defensive
told
team,
Monty Williams he
Doncic
didn't want to play
specifically,
anymore.
but
So I
they
don't know what's
found a
going on
way
there, if he's
to
done with
I
Phoenix
don't
or
want to say
what.
hide Doncic on the defensive end, but
Yeah.
work
So
around it. And you saw Jason Kidd on the
I
sidelines in
mean,
the game screaming,
I think you used the
screaming all of
correct
their
term. They were
defensive plays, all of
manhandled,
their
beat down,
defensive
whatever you want to
covers,
say.
and
But
that's
that's
just something
exactly
you
what
don't really
happened. What were your
see
thoughts in the game,
coaches
Robbie?
do real time, jumping around, screaming like that. He was pretty much on the court playing almost. I mean, what are you gonna do? Buy a
I
Kidd
apologize.
coaching jersey?
I apologize, Robbie. We just have we have a special guest with us. I apologize for cutting you off there.
But I mean, it wasn't
Naroto, can
just.
you hear me? Oh, yeah, special guest. Sorry. So he just came. So Naroto joining us there. We have a fourth member.
Greg
We have
Curry,
a
Greg
foursome.
Curry.
A foursome, yeah. So Naroto, welcome. For though we'll refer to him as Roti
Yeah, I
though.
mean, it
Roti.
wasn't really profanity. It was
Um.
just more so you kind of edging the beast.
So
Yeah.
deep. So deep.
Yeah, but that was going back and
That's what I'm saying.
forth. You
So
see,
deep.
when
I don't
wrestling was
believe
good, but
that
Yeah,
portion
because he
because
does.
at the
podcast for
same
a
But
time,
yeah,
different
like
day.
that doesn't just because
deep.
you
Yeah,
break
so
up the
I'm
beast
so
with somebody else
apologize to
doesn't
cut
mean
you
you
off,
have to
Ravinia.
hide the
What were you
beast
saying
within
about that
you.
again? Yeah,
And that's pretty much what's happened. Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean,
No, that's
well, that one, I
Yeah. Hmm.
Lowry.
see. Well, I see. I saw. I, I mean, I
I mean, I'm not
disagree.
blaming him,
Well,
but he had a horrible game. He had a horrible game, man.
oh yeah, and he got mad.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good take. That's just a good take, honestly, because look, Boston played, which I personally thought the Nets were more of a favorite there, regardless, and especially KD locked them up. I mean, not really
Well,
locked them up, but just not like not like the KD that we know.
so
See that
one
team
thing I'm
just
going
pretty
to
much step up
disagree
defensively overall,
with the
especially when they don't
notion
have
of
Robert
waking up the
Williams. I
beast
still
in
think
Luca
Robert Williams is
because it's
definitely an
not
X
like
factor
Luca
too. But
played
yeah,
any
so
necessarily
but yeah,
better than
still
he's been
Miami all the
playing
way.
in those last two games than the other games. What I think it's not even the. I
Oh
just think
yeah, let's give him credit. Yeah, let's give him
Phoenix
credit.
didn't show up themselves, especially. I mean, obviously in Game 7 too, and they got blitzed
Yeah, of
early,
course. What's he doing?
and they just
Yeah,
never like they had different legs. Luca. Luca's supporting cast between Spencer, Jalen Brunson. There's no reason the
yeah,
two of them should have outplayed the rest of and oh yeah, and that's exactly. So that's not.
yeah.
I don't see that as beast play. I see that as Phoenix not playing. And when you get open shots, I mean, when you're getting open shots like that, that's defensive. That's a lack in defense. They showed a stat where I didn't notice it until I don't remember
Can't expect too
where I
much.
saw it, but Luca
I
outscored
agree.
Booker in the series. He out
Spoelstra's
rebounded
too I would say
Aiton.
too
He out
versatile if you really think about
assisted
what
Chris
not only he does
Paul,
with like the
and
lineups and
he
certain
But
matchups,
out
but
I think
he
obviously
other
different
had more
than
personnel. You got to
steals
give
defense, I'll
than
Miami
give
and him credit
either
both,
one
but
runner
like
up
in
in
big
terms of
Bridges.
just
shout
not
out
letting
though,
go
even
of
though
the
it's like
whole
a obvious
idea
one,
or the
I mean,
whole
because
vision
and
of it
I
all.
mean, yes, we
Devin
know
Because a
Booker
lot of
Bridges is not
teams, it's
a,
woke
so
up a
easy. Every
beast in
team,
defensive
Luka
any team,
MVP
Doncic
when
nation. He
things
for
start
the
to
may
go
not
last
bad.
play
two
Obviously, the
games.
Knicks, I
passing
If
see
he
all the
would
kind of
time.
have
like
kept his
Jack
mouth
Harden,
shut and never
but
used that
you give him
profanity,
you
I
give
don't
the
know if
guy
you guys
credit
saw
where
the clip
credit is
from
due,
2 games
Yeah,
ago,
no, yeah,
and
straight
you
up, yeah,
give
just to
where
be there,
kid
yeah,
credit where
yep,
credit is due. But at the same time,
that was
I put more of a
no,
yep.
but
lot
he
of
told
this on
him
Phoenix
no,
for
but
just
it
not
continued
showing
into the
up.
post game
I
interviews
mean,
that
just as much as Dallas played
no,
great,
I do, man,
they
because
didn't show up, and that's why it was such a huge difference in points. I mean, if
right,
Yeah.
no,
no,
they
because
shut him down
they
or whatever they
played. I
did, but
think
they
it was just
also like
I don't know if the
it
moment was
happens,
too much
man.
for them.
We've
Sorry,
seen,
Proc, go
and
ahead.
I'm not giving Luca like credit as the killers we've seen in the postseason because
Hmm.
he hasn't won,
Yep.
everything yet. But there was definitely a different thing that
Hmm.
ticked in him, and he admitted it last night too. He
I
like,
don't know if it
he
was
really took it
underestimating
personal.
Dallas because
And
they
my
were
thing is
definitely going
this,
at it.
and this is what Phoenix was doing that bothered me since last year. They chatted a lot, man. They bounced LA in the first round, whatever. Carried over to this season. A lot of people gave them the benefit of the doubt. They came close last year. Up until yesterday, they were a 64 win team. But I'm telling you, man, Devin
All
Booker, not that
dynamics.
Luca wasn't going to drop a 35-point triple
Yeah.
double or 40-point triple double, but not only did he wake up Luca, that team rallied for their
Yeah.
star.
I
Like you
mean,
could see it. Those guys rallied for they
I say it
they
goes
brought
both
a
yeah.
ways. As much
ferocity
as you give
back in the
reward, you've
last
got to
two
place the
games
blame.
after that.
There's a
Like
winner
they're
and a
not
loser.
gonna punk
If you're not
Harbaugh. You know
first,
what I
you're
mean?
last.
Like I think it just backfired.
As
Sometimes
a
guys like
wise
Devin
man
Booker,
once
I
said
think
it.
he's good, but needs He might need to be humble to recalculate, you know. But I think that thing backfired on them, man. They talked a lot of smack.
Now,
I mean, nah. I'll be real. If we're gonna touch even a little bit on that, most of that is really, if I may, I'll just say that I'm not gonna
Oh,
ultimately
he's
sit here
gone.
and
That's
like
what's up.
blame it on a decision, but like really, if you really think about it, it's just really Kyrie. Like that
I did.
team,
Yes, I know
you
the
know,
clip.
like
Yes, yes.
100%. It's all Kyrie. It's all Kyrie. So like, yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
man.
Right, right, right. Yeah, Booker was upset. Yeah. Mhm.
It's a
I agree, but the
There was quite a
ferocity of
few.
the team changed,
He
though.
was picked over.
yeah. Mhm.
But matter of fact, there was Doncic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you gotta demand that respect. There's a certain level of
Mhm.
respect you have to demand. So yeah, no, I agree.
So,
But see, but that's one thing with coaching too,
so
though. It's so
RCSP.
situational, man. Like I would say situational, meaning on the team and on the, I guess, what's being built. Like it really is, because like let's talk about Popovich, right? Like look at Popovich. That's another team and franchise
I,
that bought
but I
in on
also
him,
see
right?
it. I also see it.
And even
Well, yeah,
like let's
right.
just go
Okay,
back
yes,
He's one of my
Phoenix
favorite
to
players,
did.
mainly because of
oh,
the
how am I
fact that he
forgetting his
doesn't
name?
need to
The
be
one
the
that was
number
in
one
Utah,
option
Sloan.
to be
Like
effective.
he was
Like
there. He was there for a long time
you'll
too. But I'm
blink
just trying to
at
think
the
of
end of the
teams
game,
that
and all of a
committed to like
sudden
a
he's
coach
got
after
18,
star
9
players left, after Carl
assists.
Malone left,
I,
after they get
well, that's a
yeah they
different
keep and they
story.
still
You
keep the
know, I
philosophy,
mean,
and then
Ayton.
what happens is
he's
they end
gonna
up getting
be.
another set of players, and they end up maybe doing it
Well,
again, right?
I'll tell you, he
Possibly.
might end up a Knick.
So like like
So it's quite.
Sloan
We
got
might
Darren
be asking
Williams,
how
Sloan
much are
got
we?
Carlos Boozer. He was able to kind of push 1 year again, right? Like all these other
Mhm.
coaches, they get to push it.
No,
So
hell
it's a
no.
lot of, but
Give
other
me Aiton
teams, they
any
just
day,
obviously
any night.
they just can't muster the ability to do that, or they don't try to find that philosophy. What I don't know what it
Right.
is, maybe,
What?
but like you gotta praise it when you see it, like for
He's better
sure. I'm kind of
offensively.
glad at
He's
least like
better
you even brought that up, because
rebounding. They're pretty much the
like I
same.
said, I've seen so many Knicks coaches come and go, like
Yes.
and it's so many, like, and there's so many other coaches elsewhere.
How?
Like
What?
Mike Woodson was a good coach.
Well,
Some of
then,
these
if you're
guys,
not
man,
on the
they get
court, you're
bad
not
rap just
playing.
because
Then
of
you
one
can't
bad
pile up
game.
stats, and
Yeah,
you're useless.
Do you guys
Game
think they were
two,
too cocky
Mitchell
coming off
Robinson
last year,
gets in
Phoenix?
trouble, foul trouble games
Here's
1 through 82. I love Mitchell Robinson, but
this.
we've seen enough to
that's
know
what it
what
is. That's
he
what it is.
is.
No, no, no.
That's what it
This is what
is.
this is my the
Yeah.
sort of question I would pose to you
Oh,
guys is:
God,
do
Yeah,
you think
hurts.
that Phoenix
yeah, yeah.
underestimated Dallas? I
Or,
mean,
Hmm.
But Roti, losing by 10
He's a
or
popular
15
one.
points is one thing. We're talking about a team that just went to the final, won 64 games, and they're down 40 in the third quarter in a game
mm,
seven. That's, you know,
yeah.
like
I Yeah, and my blood pressure can't handle that. I mean, what's
probably
that?
since Dallas that
1.5%
got
for number
bounced
one,
by Golden State,
7%
probably.
for
yeah,
top four. Let's not get too hyped.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
well,
goes hard back. He
let's
goes hard back.
let's let's
I
not
mean,
let's not start the prayers yet.
Yeah.
No, it is a combo. It is a combo of, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Ricky Bobby. There you go. There you go, Ricky Bobby.
Golden State, Memphis. Yeah, but
Mm,
they also played a stretch.
Yeah.
that's true. I actually say that I agree. Like that could definitely, because that's what I say. That's another part of the
Hmm.
dynamics, player coach. You got
They
a
ran him
franchise
out the building.
player, like you gotta like I don't know. I would say like the Spurs definitely chose Pop. I mean, but also he had stars like Tim Duncan who would concede. This guy's a total star, man, but he will concede.
Don't,
You know what I'm saying?
don't
Like
forget who he was also picked over.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that too. Yeah, that too. Of course. Yeah, I'm not gonna forget that. Yeah, I'm not
Exactly.
gonna forget that.
Mhm.
But like fun just how that
But they got
went.
hurt.
Like,
Yeah, they got hurt one year.
but
Yeah,
I think Aiton's not a
yeah.
true.
I remember.
I don't think he has the superstar thing to him. Yeah, that's what I
Yep,
said,
I
Luca.
know.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I don't think he's a true star. I think Aiden's a good big man. Like good. You could have Aiden.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's a number two man. He's
So like a
looking. You
stud
know.
So
for yeah. Yeah, no, makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Makes complete sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely agree. I also think it's just a matter of Memphis is one of
well,
those teams that yes, they're rising. They
here's
have a rising star.
so
They have good
so
supporting cast. But yes, they're missing something
well
down low because Jaron
funny
Jackson, he's only going to
funny
give you 5 6
funny you meant
boards. And
funny
Steven Adams, like you said, he's got
I
holes
think
in
the
his game.
funny
the
And Jaron
problem for
Jackson,
Phoenix
he's going to bite
is
on
funny
who to
every
replace him with,
block
though. You know what
opportunity
I
he
mean?
can.
Like
But
funny
as
also
much
just the
as
fact
he
that that
hasn't,
team's just not ready
you
yet.
know, I
As
think
much as we love Ja,
Aiden is better
he's still
offensively. He's a lot better.
he's not ready yet. Desmond Bain, they've got a lot of pieces moving forward, but that team is very young. That team has a lot of growing they need to do. Dylan Brooks needs to get his stuff together and just stay on the court. But when you're running a lineup of Jaron Jackson, Tyus Jones, Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain, DeAnthony Melton, that's a lot of little guys with a not that great big. So you
um,
you're bound, and especially with a
well,
guy
no, it's
like
funny
when you're
because
playing
we
against
we've been
Draymond
we've been
Green,
going through Robbie
who isn't
the
big
other two
himself
rounds.
but
Robbie and I've been
knows
going through
exactly how to
guys
take
who we
it. He
think could
plays big
possibly
and
end
he
up on
takes
the
advantage
Knicks.
of that. You
So
know,
every pod. So
and
Jalen Brunson
there's
was one
nobody
guy that
that
came up.
plays better small
We thought
ball
about
than
that could end up on the
Golden
Knicks.
State. I mean,
So
they're pretty much the
yeah, but
innovators of it
the
in
Knicks,
today's
yeah,
day.
don't want to get too far. Don't want to talk too
So
much about the
you're
Knicks
not going
because
to out
they're
small
where are
ball
they now? Golf course,
Golden State. But
whatever
then the
they're doing.
question is,
Yeah,
what's the counter for it? Because you
right.
bring a true big, he's going to get run off the court,
So
and you can't match their small
I
ball. So
mean,
how do
we
you
can't.
truly
Barkley's
match
so
really good. Barkley's
Golden
really good,
State
but
when
I
they're
mean,
at
I
you're
don't
their
know.
saying
strength?
there's a
I don't know
chance.
if I would. I don't know if I would still even like think like best power
One of
forward of
you
all
answer,
time.
because I don't have the answer,
He's still
and it
really good.
doesn't seem like the
Yeah,
rest
yeah,
of
yeah.
the
He's
NBA
definitely up there.
does.
He's definitely up there. He's definitely
Yeah.
up there. I mean, I just we gotta the first thing whenever I
So
think
yeah, so
best, first thing
let's
I
stay in
start
the
thinking
West
about with
actually and
any
talk
of
about
these
the other
players
series that happened in the
is
Western
wins
Conference
in terms of winning
semifinals. The
championships. So then
the
I mean that's
Golden
one
State
thing
Warriors and the
besides
Memphis
skill set. I'm looking
Grizzlies,
at everything. I'm looking at
and
everything. Don't worry, I'm looking at
I don't know.
everything.
It just seemed
I just
like
hear.
Memphis played better without Ja.
They did all year though, right? Weren't they
Yeah,
like 20
I
and
know, I
two
know.
without
I
yeah,
hear
him?
you.
like that's right.
I don't think they're a better team without him though.
But the
There's a
teams,
difference.
Yeah,
but the
he's their
teams
star. I mean, yeah,
changed. But the teams
Mhm.
changed. The teams changed.
He's their superstar. And they had a big blow. What was that game five? They blew out Golden State pretty badly in that game.
No, I
Yeah.
remember,
That was
bro.
a 50. That was a 50-1. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So yeah. So any thoughts on that series? Just got a couple words on that series there, Hayden.
No, no, I know.
For that Memphis Golden State series, I think it sucked for everyone that Ja
All of them.
had to miss the rest of
I
that
know.
series
I know.
because it looked like
I
it was
love
just gonna
Charles
be good.
Barkley.
Like even if Golden State ultimately won, the series still was competitive. Memphis beat them without him, but with Ja, man, it would have just been a little more fun. And it's always cool
Yeah,
to see the young guard versus the older guard. Like Steph is still
he's
playing at a
top
high
five.
enough
He's
level that
top
it's a
five at
good
least. I don't.
matchup.
I could say that
Other
without
than
even
that, I
thinking.
think
But I don't know.
Memphis's
Like I said, I don't know if I
biggest
would put
thing
him
next
number one
year
overall because what we gotta
is
consider. Yes, I'm
they got to
looking.
figure
Like I'm
out
looking at Tim Duncan, and I
something
mentioned
down
Tim
low,
Duncan.
man.
I would
Like
say
Clark's
when we
a
start
good role
thinking about
player.
other
Jaron Jackson,
potential,
you
let's
guys
just
talk
start thinking
about
about other
fouls.
players since we mentioned
Jesus
Charles
Christ,
Barkley. Then
he's
you could think
double what
about,
Mitch
let's say,
Robinson
Kevin
does.
Garnett.
I
Jaron
Kevin
had
Garnett
them
Jackson
should
is
could
three
easily
going
fouls
to
go
the
into that
every
conversation.
semifinals
possession.
Now
unless
I'm
You
they
gonna let
know,
you
played
Jaron
guys
Golden
pick
Jackson has
State.
one.
some
Any other
upside.
team they
Like
Steven
who
played
else
Adams
do
is
you
older
think
and
throughout
kind
the
too
of
big
entire
for this
slides
Western
into
league.
the
Conference, I
top
If they
had them
ran
five?
into
going
some
at least to the
problems with
Western
him,
Side. I
I
had
think
them
Memphis
winning
needs to figure out
I had them winning
what
every
they're gonna
series
do down low
unless
going
they played
forward.
Golden State.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
mm.
I mean,
Yeah, but he's a big part. But he's a big part of that. He's a product of it, but a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. They're not there. Yeah, I agree.
mm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Garnett, you're right. You're right in terms of Garnett. I mean, if anything, when Garnett came in the league, like that was, I think Marbury was probably his best PG early on. But and
Right,
that's another
right.
thing. Yeah, you
Right.
got to take into consideration. I agree in terms of having players, a certain type of players, and just team around you. Like one thing I at least decided to do though, and we got to at least take in consideration though, and like how Hayden was saying in terms of era, like even in the era, like Karl Malone also was extremely, yes, he had Stockton, you can say as a plus, but he's a very big part, especially if it's a pick and roll, like he's a very big part of setting that big ass screen. Like, you know what I'm saying, and as well as like
in
getting
whose
open
favor?
the right way, like, you know what I mean, like
That's a
cutting
question
and or going the
for.
right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
like,
that's why we all stayed silent right there for a minute. Like I don't know.
yeah, tough. Yes, well, you know what, yeah, legal defense, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, legal defense, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Sean Kemp, word, yeah, yeah.
Did you, wait, you don't know how many games Golden State's gonna win? You said. Oh, okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Man, I think Dallas in four. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Let's not. I'm not crazy. Ha, yeah. I like my money. Um,
Yeah. I.
no, I mean,
I.
one
Yeah.
thing I think losing Gary Payton is going to be really tough
Yeah,
for Golden
word.
State for this
And Tim
series,
Duncan and
but I
Tim Duncan
definitely
got
think
took advantage of
Mavs are
some
going
of
to
that too,
win.
man.
I
Because
think
when
it's
did
going to
that
be a
when did
home
that change? That changed
a
like
home
early two
series.
thousands, right?
So
2000.
I.
with
Yeah.
that
I.
being
Okay.
I honestly
said,
didn't think they were going past the
it's
second
because
round. I
Yeah.
this
didn't
one
think
is
the Grizzlies were
two
going past
two
the second round anyway.
two
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
No,
is
I
it
remember.
two two
Even with
one one
Ja, I
one one?
didn't have them
I
as
don't
winning
I
it.
remember.
I
remember.
Yeah.
didn't.
1-1.
You have to commit. You have to commit on the double. You have to
I
commit
don't
on the
remember.
double.
I don't
You
remember.
can't
I don't
hang. You
remember.
have to commit on the double. So
We'll
then,
see.
so like,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So
that's what I thought, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to. But
mm,
I'll say at the end of 4 games it'll be 2-2. I think that much, and
Mm.
from there
Yeah. I was
at the
like
end of five
second
games
round
it's
is best for
definitely
me.
going to
Yeah.
be 3-2 in favor
Yeah.
of
yeah.
Golden State.
Okay, So.
Whether
So,
it's going to
all
close
right.
out
So
in
let's
six or
let's
not,
move
I'm
on to
not
the Western
sure. I mean,
Conference Finals, guys. You got Golden
Yeah.
State versus
I guess
Dallas.
here's what I'm gonna
so
say. I'm gonna
Initial
agree with
thoughts on this one,
Hayden's
Robbie?
thing, like
oh,
in the
okay,
beginning with the whole
damn.
era thing, because you
So
really do kind of have to when you really break it down. Like you have to,
yeah,
because
I think it's
because
revenue
then if that's the case, out of
purposes because too
those
many teams
five that we mentioned, and then I
were
would say
losing in
within that era,
six
Tim
and not
Duncan
getting
kind of
that home game
excludes
again.
and comes out of that era, and I could
Um,
say he
but
is in
yeah, I
that
mean,
era. But
Golden
I
State
guess
has a
here's a
nice set
wrench
of. I
for
mean,
this whole train of
Suns had a
thought
had a
process,
really
right?
good
Like,
set of
if
wings
anything, who would be the
to
best power
to
forward now? I think that's
counter
Giannis. So do I
Luca,
think Giannis
well,
is
they
gonna have
supposedly
gonna
had a
be in the
good
best
set
power
of
forward of
wins
all
with
time? I personally think he
Booker,
will end up being the
Well,
best
Crowder,
he'll be
power
Cam
forward
around,
of all
Johnson,
time
around
after
there
he's
on the
done.
court.
Bridges,
You know what I mean? He may not have
Cameron
four
Payne,
rings,
and
but
that
I
were
think
supposed to
after everything
counter
he's done and the fact that
Luca,
he's won and
Spencer,
carried a team,
and Jalen. But
you know what I mean?
with
Like so, because then now you got to look at it like this. Like look at what
oh
Giannis is
god,
doing, especially in this
Lu-
era.
I,
Like, will Tim Duncan be doing
I,
this
it's
in this
hard for
era?
me.
Essentially, I guess
It's
if
hard for
he
me.
could, because he's a very fundamental guy. Could you be really
I,
fundamental right now?
I'm
Right?
not. I
No, so I
refuse
guess
to
I'm
root
saying
for
like you
Boston.
can't like yeah, Giannis is at least popping threes now. Like you know what I mean. So like look at it
You,
like that.
but
So like yeah,
so
like I don't know.
you
I guess
ever
I could say
have
Tim Duncan
you
maybe
ever
all
have
time
somebody
up until
who
maybe a
you
couple
truly
years from
like,
now.
you
How
root
about
for
that?
all the time.
Because
You've
Giannis
had
is
him in
gonna be there.
fantasy years. He's done you well,
Yeah.
but and you're always with that guy. But then you have this buddy
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
who
definitely.
I
who
honestly
you
think this is
work
going
with,
six.
and for some reason
Yeah,
he
I think it's
drives
going
you to hate
six.
somebody that you
I'll tell
normally
you a
would
little
like.
later.
That's one of my coworkers. He's one of those guys that I'll like somebody, but then he
Yeah.
starts talking
No,
crazy
no, I
about the
got
guy, and then it's
I
like,
got
all right,
go
you can
I
just
got
slow your
Golden
roll.
State
And now
going
I
six to
genuinely
be
dislike
honest.
the guy.
I'm surprised. I'm really surprised at Dallas. I was
No,
really
no,
surprised that
Tatum,
game happened last night between
Boston.
Phoenix.
That's how
The
I am
way
with
it
Luca.
played out that way. Like, I'm so
Tatum,
shocked.
Boston. I
I'm so
truly
shocked with
hate
that score and
Boston
everything. But
because
yeah, Golden State.
they
Golden
that
State's winning this
entire
in
team
six.
is
I
full of players that I
seems
truly
that
like. Marcus
Robbie
Smart's
was
one of my
calling it a
favorite
gentleman sweep
players.
in five. I'm going to go
Jason
six. I
Tatum, I think,
think
is a
Dallas
wizard with
takes
the
two games
ball.
here, but
Jalen Brown,
overall,
I
Golden
like him a
State.
lot.
Yeah.
That team,
No, no.
I
Well, you've been calling it a
Yeah, let's go
gentleman
Knicks.
sweep. Yes.
jersey they wear. Same thing with
So
Miami. Same thing with Toronto. Every divisional rival, they have players that I truly like, but I refuse to root for that
yeah.
jersey.
Hey. Oh. Well, they have to win at least four, right?
I can't bring myself to do it. And honestly, I think Jimmy's going back to the finals,
I'm
man.
yeah, I'm going six Golden State. Roti, how many games do you think?
Wait, are we still on the West? Are we still on the West?
Well,
Yeah.
hmm Yeah.
I mean, I said Golden State in. I'm saying six. I'm saying six.
I think it's 2-2,
I
one
mean,
one 1-1. But someone could double check. I'm not sure
check.
though.
Yeah. Let me check that. Check that right now. Check it. Check it right now. No, no.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Kaminga is who I think is going to get a lot of burns.
so it is. It is. It is. It is 2-2-1-1-1. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I think the NBA did that for like ratings purposes or something. Yeah.
And
Right,
don't
right.
forget about Porter if he's healthy, too.
Wait, oh,
Well, he's probable for game one.
oh. Yeah, I can't root for ball. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yes.
I think they're heavily favored, if I'm not mistaken.
The team as a whole, yeah.
Mhm.
I think I could pick a. No, we're still in the West. Yeah, yeah.
No, no, no. We can. So no, I don't think. Did Hayden? Hayden, did you make your pick yet?
Uh, did I? I don't know.
Did you make?
But
Well,
I'll
make it
just
again.
repeat what I might have said
Make
in
it
my
again.
head. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
But um,
Okay, go ahead.
okay.
Make your
Wait,
pick.
did Roti make this final pick? Okay,
Well, that's why they picked him.
got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I think I would say Golden State. You know, it's kind of a rare thing too, where we see they were a dynasty. They kind of still are. You know, a little bit older, a little bit more banged up. I think there's a mystique that a lot of people, you still have to give them credit. It's still Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Clay Thompson. I think they do have some big weaknesses though, especially without Gary Payton the second. Poole's been getting killed, man, on defense. They do. I
I
think we'll
agree.
see a lot more of Wiggins in this Dallas series. I
Mhm.
think Wiggins
I
and
don't think so.
Kaminga,
Oh,
yeah,
Kaminga.
Kaminga is
Yeah.
another one that's just they're gonna rotate Clay, Wiggins, and Kaminga on Luca as much as they can, and that's pretty good. And certain guys you could only hold them for so much, but that's three good defenders you're throwing out there. Wiggins a little bit underrated on his defense on what he's been for Golden State, but um, you know, yeah, Porter, I think that's his biggest thing is like they don't know what they're getting from Porter. Sometimes they'll play him 20 minutes and then he has to miss the next like two games. You know, yeah, he's already.
Mhm.
That's the thing with Otto. Otto is like a solid, good player, role player if he's available. But I do think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think and then I think offensively, Poole's taking a big step. Clay from the injury, he's still a little bit hit or
Right.
miss. Game six, Clay did show up recently, but it's still like he's been bad on offense, man, a lot. So Dallas, we just spoke about, Jason Kidd. He turned out, he's a really good defensive mind. He has a team filled with guys that are from like 6'3" all the way up to 6'8" that, they're wing defenders, they're lengthy. If Clay is struggling and Poole has to be off the floor because he's struggling on defense, I think that's a
I
little, a lot
James
more
Harden's
that
one of my
Steph is
most
going to have to
disliked players.
shoulder
I hate his style of
then.
play.
So
I
if
hate his
Clay
attitude towards
could
playing. I
go
hate
back
how
to
he
old Clay a
plays.
little bit,
I
I
mean,
think
he
Golden
had a
State could do it in like
tremendous
five or
scorching
six,
hot
but I'm saying it's
run
a 7 game
offensively in
series,
an
and I'll
offense
give
that was
Golden State the
designed
edge at home,
to
though.
take
I
advantage
think
of
Dallas is
his skill
really going
set,
to bring it,
and
though. So I give Golden
also
State
he
the edge at
piggybacked
home just
on
because
the
that
way
arena,
refs were
man, those
calling games.
fans,
So
these
But the
guys,
moment they
I told you, I'll
started
give them
changing
credit.
how the
They've been
refs were
there.
calling
They've
games,
done it. Like, they lost by
that's
50
when
and
I
then
said
went home
his
and won
run
like
was going
nothing
to be
happened.
over. Not
So I
necessarily
think
a
seven
decline in his
games, I'm
health
going
or a
Golden State.
decline in his
all right.
in
So we're
his
we're all going Golden State out of the West.
skills or
Okay.
a
That's
decline
not
in anything.
surprising. I think
I
they're
figured
favored.
once the start, I knew once the
Um.
start of
Okay. Yeah.
the
Well.
change in how the referees
Yeah.
called the
Heavily
game,
favored. Yeah.
and they didn't like player before players could not even play defense on him because they were scared to get called a foul. So they had to play off of him. And whenever they did play on him, it was 15 free throws for James Harden. And and even when it wasn't free throws, he was still drawing
Hmm.
calls. So players were just scared to play defense on him. Not because they were scared to get dropped or get a bucket in their face, but because they were going to get fouled out. I mean, granted, he's got the skills, he can make buckets, but not as easy anymore. And I knew once that happened, James Harden's not going to be the same James Harden we once saw, and it's not because of that phantom hamstring. Get that out of here. I'm sorry. And if people want to say he's out of shape, well, guess what? That's whose fault but his. I mean, fat James Harden. That's his problem. That the man does this for a living. It's not like the season came by surprise. Oh my gosh, what? You guys are starting the season tomorrow? I'm not in shape. Yeah, that's not what happened. So any excuse you make for James Harden, I'm sorry, guys. I disagree, and he's to blame. I mean, how much more can Embiid do with his finger, his face, his the man was broken in half and still went out there, gave it his all, and pretty much James Harden was.
Get
You can say
suspended.
he gave more
I
than Ben
don't.
Simmons, but
I
Yeah,
don't think
no,
so. I know
yeah,
Luca
he
I
is.
hasn't had that
He is.
problem.
whatever.
Luca
Yeah,
is.
At least Ben Simmons took them to Game 7, and I hate Ben Simmons. Next, 'Cause, yeah, I mean that team, they should have kept Jimmy.
all right, and we'll leave it there on the Western Conference. Shift on over to the East, and I think we have to touch a little bit on
Ah,
the two conference semifinals that were played. Let's start with Miami and Philly.
and without my
And
boy
I
Kyle.
mean, I think we all knew once Embiid wasn't 100%, that team had no Philly had no shot.
Right.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I think we got the kind of series we wanted. And James Harden, I think the question was, is he on the decline? Did you know? Well, they still got more out of him than Brooklyn got out of Ben Simmons, but we'll save that. But yeah. So a couple
Hmm.
things. Ben Simmons, no, excuse me, not Ben Simmons. James Harden. A, is he on the decline? Is this Philly team? Is this team? I had Philly actually winning the Eastern Conference, so little egg on my face. But what are your thoughts on that series? Just give a couple thoughts on that series, Neurotum.
Great handles.
Right. Right.
Mellow all over again. I mean, mhm. Hmm. What do you? So, well, that's what it is.
Oh,
Because,
story done. Oh God. Okay. Story done.
but he does when
Oh
he
yeah, that's a
feels like it.
whole other thing,
So
man.
that's my
That's a
thing.
whole thing by
Is it
itself. The biggest mistake they made was that.
yes? Is
So,
it that he can't
so
or that
let's
he
give
won't?
let's give some love to the Miami Heat. I mean, they really just dominated that series. Just
I
dominated that
think
series, man. Yeah, they just
Yeah,
don't. They completely. Yeah, I mean, they were it was completely. I mean, it was just like from
that's
the beginning of that
crazy.
series. I don't know how you guys felt, but from the beginning, once you heard Embiid was hurt and was most likely going to miss, you just felt like, okay, well, there's no shot. They have absolutely no shot
yes, that is
Unless
how I
James
felt.
Harden like just found his old MVP self, but he didn't.
But 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 I think Roti is right about the rules changing because two guys I thought would struggle right away was James Harden and Trey Young. And it's
Mhm.
not a knock on what they
Absolutely.
can do. There are a few players, they were just two mentioned that exploited. Like if you get too close, they're gonna get fouled from the three. You give them space, they're gonna run past you. Like they were exploiting the calls bad. I think James Harden struggled to adjust, but I think it combined a little bit that James Harden has good handles. Peak James Harden had a nice little he has
Yeah.
had a
Yeah,
nice little
ask Chris
first
Paul.
step. I noticed as the rules changed and he struggled, he did slow a little. It's not an excuse. I think that's just where his game is
They're saying
now
he's
because
gonna
he
get.
doesn't. James, this version
Can
of
you
James
imagine
Harden
paying him
cannot get to the
$60
rim as much as he used to. He
million
can't.
if he
He gets
signs another
there for
supermax with
dude.
Philly?
It's like few times each half. He can't.
$60
He's not gonna turn the
million
ball over,
dollars.
and that's why I don't know if James is. These guys they feel how they feel about themselves. He's still elite handles. He's a good passer. He's always been good to me at passing at the last second. Like James Harden would hold the ball, he could hang, and he used to get the
No,
ball
no,
where
no.
it needed to go to. But I don't know if he wants to take a step back in who he is on a team. Like it is Embiid's team. Embiid is peaking right now. He's gonna, destroy the league for the next few years. But I don't know if James is really ready to just be he's not even like a real number two. He's number two by default there, but he's gonna be a real role player. Like you handle the
Well, the problem
ball,
with him
you
is
set
that his
things up. I
defense
don't know if
sucks.
James Harden's
So, I
ready to
mean,
do
how
that,
much
man.
can you
He
really
should be
use
because his
an
career will be
older James
extended.
Harden
But these
who
guys,
only plays
they
offense
have
and
mentals,
now
man.
doesn't even bring the explosive bucket making abilities that he had? I mean, yeah, you can say he's a playmaker, but does he really make plays or does he get cheap assists most of the time because he's ball dominant in ISO? So, I mean, that's it's not my money. I wouldn't pay it. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he just can't do it, man, because he had usage opportunities in this series.
It did for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I get what Roti's saying. You can't tell if he's it's him just taking his foot off the gas himself. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's 47 mil he can opt into, which he will, and then Philly.
Well,
Philly would be
that's
crazy,
I.
but he can be offered the supermax for the
Sorry,
205
I think
mil, which
I
I
want to
would
take this
not
one
do. Yeah,
first.
this James
No
Harden.
I
way.
think
No way.
they're. I think Miami does kind of like what Boston does, except Boston has more of a two-headed monster that follows up with a band behind them, whereas Miami, they're more
But it's
so
also
that
to,
all right,
kind of to piggyback off what Roti was
your rock
saying,
star up
and
front
you
with
just
Jimmy,
mentioned the
but then
opt-in.
you've
He's gonna
got
opt
a
in for
whole
47 million
that
next
band
year.
behind him, and
This dude might just cruise for a
everybody
year
has
and
a
make
feature.
47 million,
Everybody
and
has a
then
solo. Where
he's gonna
Bam
get
Bam,
another
he
contract.
comes
I don't
in,
think he's
he
gonna get
gives
a
you
super.
everything consistently.
But
Tyler Hero, he's
Roti
gonna
has
give
a
you
point.
his
What if James
15.
Harden just like,
Bam
yo, I'm
Bam,
gonna
he's with
preserve
what
myself? You get what I'm
16,
saying?
15.
So
Heroes
I don't get
15.
injured and get another 4 to
Struce,
5
he's
year
gonna
deal
come in,
somewhere and
he's gonna
call it a
give you his
career.
10.
So yeah, I think
Oladipo, he'll
James
give you
Harden
10 one game,
and it's
20 another
funny
game.
because the Ben
He'll be
Simmons
up and
mental
down,
thing
but
is
he's
so
still
funny.
consistent.
But
PJ
James
Tucker, his
Harden, he's a
defense,
very
his 10
mental guy
points.
too, and
Gabe Vincent's
how
gonna
he
come in
approaches the
there.
game, which is not
They
always
and
favorable,
then
I guess, for his
I'm
team.
hoping we see back Kyle Lowry because that man's
Yeah.
one of the best floor
Yeah,
generals in the game, if you ask me, on both ends of the court.
All
So
right. So,
I
well,
want to see Kyle Lowry's antics versus uh, Marcus Smart's antics. Who can flop the best? Please give me that. Please give it to me. I need to see it. It's gonna
nope.
be an
nope.
it's gonna be like we've got to award a Grammy, Oscars
Yeah.
after this series. But yeah, I think this is more so
Yeah, the opt-in's the last.
uh,
Yeah,
a band of brothers from Miami. And I mean, granted, if Boston can truly shut down Butler, Miami can still survive that with the amount of even firepower they have, I think. And I think Boston's the same way. If you shut down Tatum, they have just the same amount of even firepower around um Tatum, especially with Jalen Brown.
yeah, yeah. Right.
He once had. Yeah.
Absolutely. Agreed. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let's switch on over to the other conference semifinal game, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. I just hate to say Boston. I just hate to say that word. Um, but yeah, I did honestly think though that Boston was winning this. Just I just didn't think that Milwaukee had enough around Giannis. I thought the Chris Middleton injury was going to kill them, and it looked like it did. So yeah, but looking around, looking at Boston now, and just looking ahead at this series they're going to play with Miami. Boston's done such a good job on kind of taking away the best player. They took away KD, Kevin Durant in the first round, and Giannis, and now is Jimmy Butler. Well, I mean, not take him away, but like not let anyone else let him
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
do his thing, but not let anyone else step up and be that not the Robin to his Batman, basically. And I just I guess my question is Jimmy Butler. We know Jimmy Butler's the star in Miami. He's their best player, but who is going to step up now alongside? Is it going to be Tyler Hero? Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be the guy that has to step up so Boston doesn't have to only put their attention on Jimmy Butler? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hmm. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
Right, right.
So this is a point that I like. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like a game seven in Miami, I would like. I'm not. I wouldn't be scared or phased to go play in Miami in a game seven. I don't know
I
what you guys think
think
about that. Yeah.
I think I
Like.
agree with that.
Yeah.
What I'll also say about Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler is like a really good if you want to consider him great player. That's caught in a weird area though, because
Yeah,
he
no,
does some things really good, and a lot of what Jimmy Butler brings is heart. Like Jimmy Butler is that locker room, and that locker room is like wherever he goes. Like Embiid lost and then said I wish we didn't give up Jimmy Butler. Like that's his biggest things are like these intangibles. And I'm not knocking because it turns into success to an extent. He leads almost every team he goes
well,
to at least
before
the
we move on to
playoffs.
picks, I actually
This
think
Miami team, they're
the
pretty
X
good, but
factor in the X factor
Boston's
matchup
they're
in this
really
series
elite
is
on
really going to
defense,
be
man. Like they have that thing
Horford
figured
versus
out.
Bam Bam, because
They have some
Horford,
good defenders.
what
They
he
have their
did
scorers buying
in
into
this Philly
defense. Like
series going
Jalen
up
Brown
against
and Jason
Embiid,
Tatum have
no
been
one.
they play hard
I
on
mean,
both ends. I
there's
think if
very
you
few
force Jimmy
who
Butler
could
to
have say
shoot,
who could say
Miami's in
they
a little bit
saw
of
it
trouble
happening.
from
They
their
were
number
hoping it
one.
happened, or
But
they said it could
they do
happen, but
have some
nobody
shooters.
could have said that that's
Voti, I
what
think,
was
mentioned
going to
Strauss,
happen. I mean, the man
and
put up
Strauss is
13, 10,
better all
4,
around than
one and a
Duncan
half, and one
Robinson.
and a half
Duncan
in
Robinson
terms
can
of
shoot lights out.
block
That's all
steals.
Duncan Robinson can
That
do.
I mean,
Strauss,
what he
Strauss can
did
grab
was
rebounds. Strauss is a
incredible.
bigger body
And will
too,
he be
better
able? Will he
defender.
be able to do that?
So, but I
Will
think
he
what
bring that
Boston is
same
going to do
intensity
is
against
offensively
Bam
and
Bam,
shooting
knowing that
wise,
Bam Bam
they're
is
going to
not
try
really
to
going
force
to
everyone that's not Jimmy
bring that
Butler to
out
beat
in
them.
him
And
like Embiid
Hero,
did?
I think,
You know what I mean?
he's a legit
Like
scorer. He is like
they
a
showed a
legit
meme where
6 man or
Al
starter in
Horford's
this league.
sister
Like that
was
kid
like,
can get
"This is
buckets.
where you done
But I
messed
think
up,"
they need
and
Kyle
it
Lowry,
showed
man. I do think they
Yeah.
need Kyle Lowry
Got to
back
step
because
up.
if Jimmy
Yep.
has to give up the ball, I would be so happy
oh
as a
yeah,
whole if
yeah,
I'm the Heat and
yeah,
it goes to Kyle
yeah.
Lowry and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
making
That's
the
what I mean.
decision,
That's what I
man. You
mean.
know
So
what I
I'm
mean?
sorry. I'm sorry.
But I think that's
Um,
going to be Boston's
but yeah, they
approach is,
show that was
before the
the
playoffs, Jimmy's done
yeah.
great
After
things this playoffs.
I
Like
keep
he's
going back to
matched
Embiid.
the
Giannis dunked,
play of the
and it wasn't
superstars
even
in
a
the
dunk
playoffs,
on
like
him, but it
Greek
was more
and
so what
Tatum and
Giannis
everyone,
said.
Luca.
God knows.
This year, Jimmy was historically bad from three, though, like historically bad, shooting like
Mhm.
10% for like 4 months straight. But I think it is a weakness, once you
Yeah.
get him out of like the paint or a little bit past the elbows. So I think that's what Boston's going to try to do is just crowd and don't let him get in.
hmm Yeah, we've never seen him play with this much intensity. He's always
Yeah.
been a very low key, get the job done kind of guy. And now at age 35, he's bringing out stuff that we've never seen from him in the playoffs too. Because in the season, he lost his job, and now we don't even see Robert Williams anymore. hmm Um, hmm I say keep out Marcus Smart until Kyle Lowry can play. Just because I want to see the two of them go at it with that acting seminar. That I'm actually not sure of. Mm, mm.
So
So
it's just
we'll be
report here. I'm
seeing
just seeing it. It says
the
Kyle
boys
Lowry
late
is not
night.
playing game one. He's ruled out. No, it just says he's ruled out for game one. It doesn't say that about the series, but
Huh?
well, yeah, we didn't make the pick yet, but no, 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 that's great. Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I think Kyrie Irving took care of Kyrie Irving. But yeah, go ahead. Hmm. Paging Dr. Rob. City Lock.
So
Oh, you mean versus Horford versus Greek? Or I'm confused. Yeah, you said Embiid. You mean Horford versus Greek? Yeah, yeah, got you. Okay, got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, yeah. Well, he got mad. Yeah. You know what's crazy about this whole thing? Prime Horford was pretty good player. Horford scored his career high, playoff career high that night. And Horford went to a lot of playoff games in his life, which is so insane that at this point in his career, he has like a second win going.
so
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well, Williams, I think
just
I don't know what his status is. I know
no,
he's one of those two. His injury is kind of like concerning. So they'll play him one game and then they'll reevaluate, like, no, no, shut him down for three. But, Williams, if he's on the floor too, really like an elite, paint defender too. But I don't know if he'll even be able to play though.
so I'm just reading reading from Yahoo Sports here. It says that Marcus Smart questionable for game one, and says no. It looks like Robert Williams. He's available to go play game one. So yeah,
Okay.
so that's the Boston injury report for game one. Mhm. I can imagine no, that ABC has the Eastern Conference, if I'm correct, right? Is that going to be an ABC? Yeah, yeah. And TNT, Shaq, and Chuck, and those guys, they have the Western Conference. Okay. Oh, interesting, interesting. All right, so
Well, everybody seems to be.
yeah,
What do we have? We
so
have
let's make picks. I guess I'll go first. I don't know.
mm,
I'm
so
as much as I
Boston's the
hate this
favorite,
team
and
and
Miami.
I just
Everybody
don't like
keeps
their
saying
sports city,
you
I
guys
actually think
keep.
Boston wins
I
this
keep
series. I
hearing the
think Boston
notion
wins
that
the Eastern
nobody's
Conference.
really scared of Miami. They
I'm
don't
taking
intimidate
Boston in
anybody.
seven because I'm not.
Um,
I
But at
don't
the
know.
same time,
Miami
I
just doesn't
you can say
intimidate
the
me.
same about
I
Boston.
don't.
I mean,
You know,
who's
I'm
really
not playing, so they don't need to intimidate me. But
intimidated by
they
them?
I
need
know
to
I
what you
mean, yeah,
intimidate
mean.
me.
Tatum's
Yeah,
nasty,
Yeah,
but
they're intimidating.
Miami
They're not
loves
that
that.
intimidating to me,
They
and I
keep
think
getting
Boston can go
overlooked
in
and
there.
they
And the way
keep
Boston's
being
played this
somehow
entire
the underdog.
postseason, and
Um,
Boston's taking care
they
of Kevin Durant,
they
Kyrie Irving.
weren't they the number
Was
one
able
seed
to
this year?
kind of.
So yeah, so
So
they're
yeah,
not the
so
number one seed for no
I'm
reason,
liking Boston. I think
and
Boston wins this series in seven
as
games
much
and
as
sets
Boston's
up
defense has picked up
Golden
in the
State
second half of
versus
the
Boston
season
in the NBA
and the
Finals.
playoffs, Miami's
So
had this
what do you think? What do you guys think?
intensely
Rob, let's
on
go with you. What do you think?
throughout the year, and they only picked it up even more during the playoffs. I mean,
You hear
just
me
as
yet?
much as
Rob,
Boston
you here? You there?
um took care of who they needed
Maybe we
to.
lost him.
Same thing
it shows that he raised
with
his
Miami.
hand.
He's
I mean,
raising his hand.
granted,
What a
Miami
big, what
had
a school. Okay, so
both teams
he's probably having
played
a technical issue
people
there.
who
Hayden, why don't you go
imploded on
ahead?
their own, but they
So
did
for
what they
me
got
with
to
this
do, and now we're
series,
going
I
to see them
mean,
go up against each other. I think they have
Miami, you kind
rosters
of
that are
said it
pretty
a little bit on
similar in
how
terms
I
of
feel close to what you
how
feel
they
about them.
play,
If Miami went all the
both
way
on
to the
defense
finals and
and off.
won,
Well,
I could see
not
it.
on
But if they
offense, not on
didn't, I could
offense.
also
Boston is
see
very
it.
different.
They're
They
not
rely much more
that scary to me,
on
but they
threes
are a
from their
team. Like you
stars,
have to beat
whereas
Miami to
Miami
knock them
relies
out.
on
Until
threes
they're out, you can't count this team
from
out.
their
And they do have
supporting
some
cast,
dogs. We
and
we went through it.
I think
Lowry, Jimmy
I think
Butler,
Miami's going
Bam.
to find a
You
way
know,
to
bubble
just
or not,
dog
Bam's
this
been
one
to
out
finals from
as
a
they
young
usually
age,
do.
and Bam,
And
he holds his own
the,
defensively.
I
He's a
think the way to
very
beat Miami
composed
is just
player,
to bring a
but I think
roster that's
Bam's
just
not
way
even in
too
his peak yet.
overpowering,
You
which
know what I
nobody
mean?
has been able to do.
Jimmy Butler
And
again.
when you're going to bring an even
I
roster with
like the
them,
guy's heart. I
they're,
like how
they're
he
I just
plays on the
they
floor,
have
but I
better.
just
I feel
feel
they have better
Jason
coaching.
Tatum is
I mean,
peaking
it's a
right
good
now.
coaching matchup. It really
Boston
is. I just
Celtics,
think Miami has the
other
slight
than
edge.
just player to player
And
matchups,
I think their
defensive
leadership
and
in
offensive
Butler
ratings are
is
like kind of
better
unbelievable
than
how
in
good
Butler
they've
and
been,
Lowry, even if he's
especially in
not
the
playing,
second half of the
is better
season.
than
I
Boston's
think they're just
leadership
going to be a
under
little bit too
Horford,
much for
Marcus, and
Miami.
Tatum,
I'm
and
going
Jalen Brown.
Boston in
That's a
six.
great foursome,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
you know,
Welcome back.
I
Welcome back.
guess
Welcome
Just
back.
in
little
time.
baby Davis, Grant Williams,
Yeah.
uh, as much
No problem.
as much as I like him and Derek White as supporting players, I like the supporting players of Miami Heat with PJ, Gabe, Victor, and Struz. Yeah, I mean that team, and that's without Lowry, and that's with Duncan. Not even they don't even play Duncan Robinson anymore. So yeah, so I mean, I I just think it's going to be a good series. I think all the games are going to be close. I don't think we're going to see any blowouts in this one for some reason. Um, I like Miami coming out of this one. I'm gonna say this one either. Hi, damn. I want to say it's either gonna be a short series or a long series. No five, no six. It's either gonna be
The
a
culture.
sweep
Yeah,
or a
yeah.
Yeah.
seven-game
Yeah.
series. Is that weird? Has anyone ever had that take? Like it's
How
gonna be.
many
I
games
think
do you
all
have
the
it?
games are gonna be single digit games.
Okay.
And
Okay. And
I mean, you've
on the
got the
road
two
to
best
how many
defensive teams
games?
in the
Who are
league.
you picking to win these?
It's or two of the.
So two so far. Two. Myself and Hayden took Boston, and Robbie took Miami.
Hmm.
They were
Yeah,
in the
Miami.
East.
Yeah,
They were
Miami's the number one
the
seed. Yeah.
East. Yeah.
Hmm.
They spread it out. Yeah.
Well, well, oh yeah. Well, you got to give all of that. All of that comes down to Pat Riley and how and his like Spoelstra was handpicked by Pat Riley. And he knew why he brought in LeBron into that team. So he's once LeBron leaves, he's not going to turn his back on his handpicked guy. And he saw it through, and he's seeing the dividends in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, everywhere LeBron's gone, that's pretty much what it's always been. Oh, that coach is not good. I mean, we've seen Teron Lue is a pretty good coach. We've seen, Mike Brown is a good coach. David Blatt, yeah, yeah. David Blatt, he's, everyone raves about him
Well, yeah, yeah.
This is
overseas,
very
but he
I,
never
strange.
even got to coach over
Because
here.
if they
And
no,
get,
I
let's
mean,
say
that's
Boston
going
gets
on.
swept,
That's
you
what's
have them
going. We
getting
don't
swept
even.
by
I
one
mean,
point in all
granted,
four
Steve
games.
Nash
Like,
looks terrible out there. His rotations are bad. Everything is bad.
yeah,
okay,
But
yeah. Like
we
I don't
don't
think
know
it's going to be a
because
high scoring series at all.
it's not really him running
Yeah,
that team anyway. So
yeah. It's
I
not going to
mean,
be high
that's what
scoring.
happens when
Yeah.
you favor your
Well, just
stars over.
you
piggyback on two
thing
things you
is,
said.
I'm playing the numbers a little bit here, which is just this is how I
Oh
am
yeah,
for finals and playoffs. Like I go with, I think Miami physically and player personnel defensively, they
really
have
weird.
a really good defensive team.
Hmm.
We went through the names between PJ, Jimmy, and Bam. That's pretty good, but efficiency wise, they
Hmm.
haven't been that great.
Hmm.
I Boston, their efficiency on defense, like what they've been doing, and then because they're so efficient on offense, like to me that's scary because they use one and turn the other at a high level. You know what I mean? So for me, that's why I'm going Boston, but Miami,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
No, but that's what I'm saying. They chose a coach that has no power over them. When they put it this way, like when you say coaching does matter, even on the 92 Dream Team, one of the greatest teams ever assembled known to mankind in any sport, they made sure they brought in Chuck Daly because Chuck Daly
right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
would be able to handle the
And
massive
one thing I wanted to touch on
egos, the
that
playing
Roki said
times,
about
and
the
everything.
coaching. I mean,
He
how
even
good a coach is
orchestrated
Eric
making sure the
Spoelstra?
Dream
I
Team
think he's
got
like one
their
of the
ass
most
kicked to
underrated
bring
coaches.
them back down to
But
earth
Such
somehow.
an
Spoelstra for
I
underrated
mean,
head
you
me,
coach.
can't really.
because when the
Those are
big
the
three was
things that
there,
you
of
need to be
course,
able to
you know
do
how
as a
everyone just felt like,
coach.
oh,
And when you
like
get your power
anyone could
stripped
coach
from
it.
Yeah,
you,
But even if you
you
looked at some
can't
of his
really rein
rotations
in
there,
and bring out the
this
best
guy
in
is
those
a
players. And
really
I mean, Steve,
basketball heavy minded guy.
he's
Like
very
he's a
good for him. Yeah,
basketball genius, Eric
yeah,
Spoelstra. And I think he really took, I'm happy Miami didn't let him go after the big three. And now everyone's like, oh my God, he's such a good coach. Like he always been, even
yeah.
with that team, even with the big three. Like I tell you, even his rotations, the way he staggered Chris Bosh when they first got there, this dude, like I love Postra. Boston's head coach, Udoka, it's just it's the first season, but he looks really
so
good too. But it's just he's still going through his first year, so he can't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, would be yeah.
Mm.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
They pay Udonis Haslam for a leadership. That dude doesn't play, and they just play him
Yeah.
to be a leader.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
His
yeah, the heat
his
culture. Yeah,
IQ. By Riley. Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, I wasn't. Yeah.
yep.
That's the problem. hmm
Yeah. There you go,
He's
Coach J.
finally coming back. He's finally getting a
Hmm.
job again. Yeah,
Well, I don't even think it was KD more so. Mm.
Oh, I'm actually glad you mentioned Steve Nash because
Well,
it just
Jimmy
goes to show
Butler's
you
known
coaching
for
does matter.
being like he likes it when
Yeah, I mean
coaches go
you
hard
can't
on
just put
him,
anybody in there. I mean
and he
Kyrie, with all due respect, you
yeah
got to be the real coach.
he
he
No
heavily
do
spit
disrespect.
the
some,
message
Yeah,
some
back what the
weird things
coach
with the
is saying.
rotations, but the Nets built they built that
hmm
team funny too, man.
mhm.
Like I don't, not to get sidetracked of but like they were so hoping on like these old guys and Blake Griffin and Aldridge to like they built the team funny too, but I think Nash didn't put them in the best position to win. So, mm.
hmm
But yeah, it spiraled. Yeah, yeah, he
Yeah.
spiraled that locker
Well,
room. Yeah,
Kyrie, yeah. Mm.
right,
Yeah.
right.
hmm It's not even just Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan came into
Yeah,
David
yeah.
Robinson's house. Remember that. That team. Don't forget that team was a championship
Yeah.
caliber team. That that Yeah, and they weren't supposed to have a number one pick. They just happened to get hurt and ended up with one, and then that's what separate. That's why they went from being a perennial contender to a perennial championship team. You know, so
It is.
hmm
The players too.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
So like they just keep the philosophy. Right,
Very
right.
slow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Hmm. Yeah. Mhm. No.
but but I think
No. No. No.
I
We
think
can't
what's
end on a Knicks
hard
point. Come
for
on now.
I think what's
Yeah. We
hard for
can.
management though and organizations though is star player versus coach. Like I'll say
Yeah. Mhm.
at this point of KD's career, he's not listening to no coach yell at him. It's just not gonna happen. So as the Nets, you're in this tough spot because KD's a dick. We know that. Like he turned into a real a-hole, you know? No, KD, if you listen to him talk, he's not, in general, he's just not gonna listen to a coach that's trying to do like, you know what I mean? Like what we just explained with like the names mentioned, KD wouldn't play for Eric Spoelstra. Jimmy Butler is that type of guy. Jimmy Butler plays hard no matter what. Like that fight with him and Udonis Haslem and Eric Spoelstra, that is what Miami needed. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like KD would have fought and then trade
Yeah.
me. I'm done. You
Whoa,
know,
whoa, whoa.
but that's what I'm saying. KD puts the
He's
Nets in
top
a bad
five?
Yeah.
place. That's what I'm saying. The Heat like that happened. All those players, the someone like KD, the Nets, they're in a tough place because you can't bring in players or
See,
coach
so
like
I'm
that. So I
all
think
right.
we
I've
know,
got to.
man, the divas they put them in a tough place.
You're
LeBron,
looking
he's
at
winning,
everything,
did a
but
lot of the masking
we
of.
just
I
spoke
think
about
Wiltie mentioned,
Tim
other than
Duncan
Spo,
got
he gets
put
a guy
onto
fired
a
every year or
team
two. You know what
that
I mean?
was
Like it's
a
just hard. So the
built
Nets
to win,
on
that
I
was
think as
built to
long as
win. Now,
KD's
Charles
there, I'm
Barkley,
not sure,
Charles
Kyrie, but as
Charles
long as
Barkley
KD's there,
was
it's just
put
gonna be a
onto a
roller
team
coaster of just
that
you
was
have to
in the
please
Sixers when
guys
he
like
came
him,
on
and
was
to me it gets
aging
rough, man. It gets
and
hard for the
falling apart,
organization.
and then carried that team with no. I mean, please go back and look at those rosters that he played with, and then go back
Yeah.
and look at the rosters that he played with on Phoenix, where Dan Marley and Kevin Johnson you're trying to rock with. And this man was
Mhm.
6'4", 6'5",
Pop also builds a lot
banging
too.
with the biggest, leading the league in
Yeah.
rebounds.
Remember?
It's insane what this man was able to accomplish given what he had, both
He broke
physically
his foot, right?
and
Robinson broke
Robinson
his
got
foot.
hurt. Yeah. Mhm.
around him. Um, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say best overall. Yeah, no,
Championship team, yeah. Yeah. It was them or the Lakers in the early 2000s. Those only the teams winning.
absolutely.
So always had this debate since we're talking basketball here. Always wanted to have this question: is Tim Duncan the greatest power
Top
forward in the
five. Well,
history
the
of the
two that
NBA?
we didn't mention were, I
You
mean,
know, I guess I'll go
I
first.
put
Yeah.
Dirk up
So
there,
when it comes first, I
but
want to
I
say
also
for
put
regards
I
to
put
greatest
Carmelo
of
at
all time,
five.
whether
Who
it's
a lot of
overall
people
or
put at
to a
one or
specific
two. I
position,
put him at five
I think a few things for me,
because
like, I'll
I
speak for myself.
personally
What
feel
factors
as
into
great as he
is
was,
era, and not that one
he
era is
was
tougher
a
than the other,
product
just
of
at one time,
being
I can
in the
look back
greatest
and
pick and
show
roll
you a
tandem of
power
all time.
forward that dominated as much. You get what I'm saying? Or close,
I
whatever it is.
I agree.
So
I
for me
agree. But
with
when you
GOATs, I
have
always try to say,
when you have a guy
each
feeding
era
you,
has
do you
one,
know how many
but I
assists
will say there
John
hasn't
Stockton
been a
had
power
per game?
forward as dominant as Tim
That man
Duncan on both
was
sides of the
averaging
floor and
13 to
who has
15
won as
assists
much.
per
Like
game,
a catalyst
feeding
for what, four
Carmelo
out of his
easy
five
elbow jumpers
championships.
and
Still
layups
really good
in
in
a
the
pick and
last
roll
one
where
versus Miami. But
I mean,
to
granted,
me, out
Carmelo was
of,
one of the
and that's
best
my take,
finishers,
is I break up the
whether it was an
GOATs into
elbow jumper,
eras.
a
For power
turnaround
forward,
fadeaway, or
it is Tim
driving to the
Duncan for
hoop.
me, just
But
because he was so
Charles Barkley
dominant
didn't have a guy
and he
feeding him
won
easy
so
buckets.
much as
Kevin
the
Garnett
main
as
guy.
well.
Like Tim Duncan single-handedly almost had a quadruple double in the finals versus the Nets. There's a lot of argument that he did, and they didn't count two blocks. Like this dude was dominant on both sides of the ball, and he won. He was part of a dynasty. It wasn't a traditional dynasty that won like 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5 years, 4 out of 6 years, but he was part of a 20-year long dynasty that was, I think, is Tim Duncan. Honorable mention, if I took championships away from me, was Charles Barkley, but for me, Tim Duncan, yes.
Mm. Yeah. I don't know about Barkley, but I was to have it. To me,
Whoa, whoa,
yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa. Now, you're getting crazy, bro.
No, no, yeah, I wouldn't put him in. I,
Oh, agreed.
oh yeah, definitely top five. Definitely top five. Yeah.
Illegal defense. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, you couldn't float without
I
guarding
mean,
somebody.
what?
Yeah.
Who's
So,
there?
which is why. So,
Yeah.
yeah. In other words, it was pretty much you couldn't zone, or you couldn't necessarily zone, but you still could double team and trap. You just weren't
Absolutely. Yeah.
allowed to. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yes. Yeah, which is which is a testament
Well,
to defensive numbers back then because you couldn't really just play passing lanes like how they do now.
okay.
You had to really get your steals for the most part. I mean, granted, you can hand check, so you were
Maybe he
allowed
is
more
in one or
freedom
two. Five,
to
yeah, he'll
do
crack the
so.
top five.
So it goes both ways, where they kind of allowed hand check, they took away the zone, and now they took away hand checking, they allowed more of the zone. So it's a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and
Hmm. Agreed.
the,
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, it's all AAU ball we have right now. Yeah.
but this is one thing with the but there's one thing about the
You know,
90s, though,
what's
right? That
is
a
it?
lot of people don't mention with the 90s. There were certain defensive rules into place. Everyone always talks
Yeah.
about tough era and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but there were certain defensive rules where guys couldn't trap and switch like they do today. So when Carl Malone and John Stockton, they would exploit it. You know what I mean?
Sean.
Right.
Yeah. I
I'm
was
not
just thinking
taking
about
away
him
from him.
actually.
I think Carl Malone is one of the best power forwards. But if you were to factor in something like all the points he scored and all of John Stockton's assists, they exploited that
Let's go
illegal
Knicks.
defense rule because teams couldn't. That was one of the issues with when the Bulls beat them the first time. Jerry Sloan, there's so much footage of him yelling at refs of illegal defense because Phil outsmarted them, and so Phil started Scotty at center. We talk about small ball. Phil did it so Scotty would just Scotty's goal was to disrupt the pick and roll, but the Jazz didn't have an answer because no other team had like an all around defender like Scotty Pippen. But that's where I say with Karl Malone is his points are a little bit misleading because they exploited that illegal defense being called once somebody came over or somebody tried to stay. It's not really coming over. It's like if you try to stay a little bit, and keep you couldn't do it. Exactly. So that's why they had to put Scotty, you know? Yeah, I don't have the exact date, but yeah. Hmm. Right. It was a weird, like, gray area of the commitment. Right. You had to, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right.
It's different. Okay,
Okay.
okay, guys. Well, this was fun. A lot of fun talking NBA, talking NBA playoffs. Hope everyone had a good time listening. And for myself, well, let me play this out first. Let me play this out first. NBC, please don't sue me. Okay. Once again, thank you, Hayden, for joining us. Thank you, Robbie, for joining us. Thank you, Narotan, for joining us. And to the listeners, thank you for listening to us as well as we come to another finish of the Prak Cast. Hope you guys had a good time, and we'll catch you on the next one. Go Nick.